Donald Trump is fuming because the world is turning its back on him and the United States. Donald Trump has been begging the world to back him up in a war that Netanyahu and himself sought. Then he ran to all of these other countries for help, and the world said, kick rocks. And now he big mad. This is Pragmotiv News, and I'm Kameron. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important shipping lanes on Earth. Nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through that narrow stretch of water between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula. So right now, this choke point remains closed because it's the center of a growing international standoff, and the global economy is feeling it in a big way. After tensions with Iran escalated into open conflict, Donald Trump is running to our allies for help to escort oil tankers through the strait. The idea was simple: form a coalition of naval forces, protect shipping, and keep global energy flowing. But the response from many U.S. allies was not what Donald Trump expected. Several major U.S. allies have been hesitant to join the mission. According to reporting from AP News, European governments want more information before committing warships. They're asking basic questions. What exactly is the strategy? How long will the conflict last? And what happens if escorting tankers turns into direct combat with Iran? Some governments are worried the operation could pull them into a wider war in the Middle East. Others say they weren't fully consulted before U.S. escalation. The result is an unusual diplomatic moment. Countries that normally operate closely with the United States are now moving cautiously. Some are discussing alternative roles like limited defensive support, mine clearing operations, or diplomatic efforts aimed at reducing tensions. But so far, a large multinational escort coalition has not materialized. And that hesitation is creating a new question. If the world's most important oil shipping lane is at risk because of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu's antics, who is actually willing to help defend it? Even though it's not just our gas prices and energy prices going up, Europe, Canada, Britain, theirs is going up too. And they still are not willing to help. And you see, Trump knew it would happen. He knew the gas prices would go up in picking this fight with Iran. He said it himself. You don't believe me? Watch him.
You mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful.
You call that successful? This video shows just how much Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about the country he is unfortunately the president of. But the funny thing is, I believe that this is all more than Donald Trump bargained for, because he is begging the world for help, and they are expressing caution officially, and unofficially, they're telling him to take a hike. Now Trump is fuming in the Oval Office because he's mad because the world won't help him in a war that they didn't seek. According to Politico, President Donald Trump on Tuesday fumed at longtime American allies he says aren't doing enough to help the U.S. and Israel in their war against Iran, now arguing that their assistance was never needed after spending days publicly requesting their help. So let me get this straight. You was just begging for their help, but now because they say no, it's, well, I don't need your help anyway. What a child. And the world is doing that because they see the writing on the wall. Iran will never surrender. And to understand why they won't surrender, you need a little backstory. This is a Pragmotiv Plus article explaining the backstory on tensions between the United States and Iran. In 1906, Iran had a constitutional revolution. Iran established its first parliament in an attempt to limit monarchical power. Then in 1953, CIA backed a coup. The United States and Britain helped overthrow Iran's democratically elected prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, after he nationalizes Iran's oil industry. From 1953 to 1979, that was the rule of the Shah in Iran. The Shah governs Iran with strong American backing, but increasing repression fuels domestic resentment. Then in 1979, the Iranian Revolution happened. The Shah is overthrown, and the Islamic Republic is established under Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei. Then from 1979 to 1981, it was the U.S. hostage crisis. Iranian students seized the U.S. embassy in Tehran and held 52 Americans for 444 days, cementing the perception of Iran as a hostile regime in American politics. Fun fact, that's the biggest reason President Jimmy Carter was defeated in 1980 presidential election by Ronald Reagan. This is just a little history for you. I told y'all I was a history buff. So the article goes on to read why Iran is unlikely to back down. Iran's leadership views confrontation with the United States as a struggle tied directly to the survival of the Islamic Republic. Backing down under American pressure could undermine the ideological legitimacy of the regime. Instead, Iranian strategy has historically focused on endurance, absorbing pressure while raising the cost of conflict for its opponents. In other words, the goal is not necessarily to defeat the United States outright, but to outlast it. So if you want to read the full article, you can find it over on our Substack at pragmotivplus.com. That's where we go deeper. More context, more history, more of what we can't fit in our flagship videos. And while you're there, consider subscribing, because right now independent media isn't just important, it's necessary. Corporate media is being reshaped in real time, and if we want spaces that actually challenge power instead of protecting it, we have to build and support them ourselves. So if you value this kind of content, go to pragmotivplus.com and be part of it. And even if you can't afford a paid membership right now, that's okay, we understand. There's plenty of benefits to becoming a free subscriber too. So back to the topic of this video. This is what Trump didn't know before he did this. You see, he thinks that he can bully anyone he wants and they'll just roll over and accept it. It's that kind of foolish thinking that lands the country in messes that presidents 2 administrations from now will have to deal with. Biden was still dealing with wars that Bush started in his first term. So now we're in a war that literally none of us won. And we're in it alone. No allies, no help, but all the blame.